everybody, and welcome to Sit in It for a Bit with Arne and Carlos. And we are, as always, your hosts,
Arne and Carlos.
And Sit in It for a Bit is our weekly podcast where we talk about everything and nothing, recap on things that are going on in our lives, and try to spend a lovely 15 minutes together with you guys. Either if you are sitting and knitting or sitting and eating cookies, it really doesn't matter. We
Maybe
still
walking and knitting.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know because we can't really see you, but we do hope you enjoy these moments with us every week. Freya is with us, and she is in a little bit of a little bit of a mood. So she's barking. She'll be barking probably and disturbing us. Helmer is fast asleep in his bed.
So everything is normal.
Yeah, everything is as it used to be.
Yeah.
And
not much happened.
No, not much happened. But Norway has opened up. They've lifted all restrictions, and we're able to be free again, as we were before the pandemic. So we do go out a little bit more than we used to. And last weekend on Saturday, we went to Lillehammer to hang out with Arne's brother, which was really nice.
That was nice.
We helped him choose new spectacles.
Yeah, and we had lunch, and he told me about the new book now, which is out in the valley where I come from, and you can get it in the grocery store. So he will buy one for me.
What kind of book is it?
And it's a book about family histories from the different farms in the area. And I find it so interesting. So I'm looking forward to have that book because there's a lot of new information.
Yeah, both you and your brother, you love talking about family history and genealogy.
Yeah, he called me so many times since this book came, so we've been talking a lot.
Oh, so he already has it?
He has it already.
Oh, okay. And he's been reading it out loud to you?
No, he's telling stories from the book. He's not reading it.
Ah, okay. So, but that's why he calls so often now.
Yeah, because he wanted to tell me all the exciting news.
So have you found out something new? Have you learned any new things about your relatives?
There's some really cool one, and it's a guy who lived like in Gausdal many years ago, and he was called Fugern.
The bird.
The bird, and he was a thief. He was not like Robin Hood. He didn't give to the poor, but he was stealing a lot.
And that's your relative?
We found out he's a relative.
Oh, okay.
And he lived on a small island in the river, kind of.
So he lived, so in an island. Once upon a time, there was a man called the Bird, and he lived on an island in the river. Wow, that's actually the beginning of a great story, I have to say. I'm intrigued. So come on, give me more.
So he was the grandson of a guy that was my great-great-grandfather's brother, I think.
Wow, this is a great start. Come on.
Yeah, but he was... my father told stories. My brother said that my father was always telling stories about this man called Fugern.
Okay.
And the fun thing was that he didn't know that we were related.
Oh, okay. So he was notorious?
He was notorious, and it's kind of very, in a way it's a sad story also, but I haven't read all of it yet. But he was sent to Oslo, and he died in what they call a tukthus.
Oh, one of those...
it's not a prison, it's almost like a prison, I think, but it's like a place where you're forced to live there, and you have to work to be a better person.
Yeah, so this is kind of like the old... we don't have these anymore. No. Now it's all about rehabilitation. In those days, it was about punishing.
And now it's prison. You don't have tukthus.
No, exactly. But a tukthus would have been a place where they would whoop you into shape, if you put it that way.
It's really bad, actually. And I know where the tukthus is.
No.
Remember in Storgata in Oslo, the yellow building?
Oh, really?
There was antique shop there.
Oh, yeah.
That's where the tukthus. So
they sent him
if
there?
I understood it correctly, he died there. He was sent there and died there.
Okay.
And there's a lot of other stories in the book.
So not a happy ending. So
not a happy ending. But
once upon a time, there was a man called Fugl, and he lived on an island
in a
river, and he was sent to Oslo, where he died. But there must be something in between there.
Probably. Actually, that is so strange because I think it was his mother or his grandmother came from a very big farm actually, and they were well set off, or what you call it.
Well off. Yeah.
Well off, and then she was married to another one, and it just went down.
So any idea why he was
So
called?
she ended up on the farm where she came
Okay.
from, as a poor people who lived there for the food and got some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea why he was called the bird? Fuglen?
It probably because you have the the krok, sjor, what's that in English again?
Magpie?
A magpie. Maybe it's based on the magpie because the magpie is picking.
Oh,
everything.
yeah. The magpie likes the shiny stuff and takes it. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because the magpie pick everything and collect it in her nest.
Yeah. So,
So
except for the very sad ending, I think that this story is very promising. So I expect, once you get the book, once you read it, I expect a full recap of the entire story. And I think
Yeah.
you agree with me, right? We should get a recap from
I
Arne.
found the old book I have now with the history of Oslo, and there's a chapter about the tuk-tus things. So I'm going to read all about it now and put it in my genealogy paper.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, you should, yeah.
And that is very cool. And there's also got more information of my great grandfather's aunts who lived in Oslo. And when I look through these things now,
Are those
it
the
seems
ones
like
that ran the brothel?
one of them. It could be a brothel. You never know. It was a guest house.
So
but
a
in that
guest
part
house,
of
yeah.
Oslo, there was a lot of fishy things going on. So you never know. But
Well,
it's
you
so
have a
cool.
lot of obscure characters in your family history, huh?
Yeah, and it's so cool because now when I look into this, there's a lot of relatives in Oslo. Or maybe they moved out. One was in Sarpsborg. So some move away from Oslo, and I will try to find some relatives because
Yeah.
they're not so distant, actually.
Yeah, no, I mean,
No, I think like it will be like a fourth cousin is not so distant.
well,
Distant?
it's
No.
kind of it's like a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, isn't it?
No, not where I
You
come
know,
from.
no,
No,
not
it's-
where you come from.
It's like the mafia. We know
You're giving
everything.
people the wrong impression now. Arne is not a criminal.
No, but we keep it in the family.
You keep it in the family, yeah. Yeah.
Oh no,
So-
no, it's not as bad as it sounds.
No, it isn't. And if it was way past, way in your past.
Yeah,
so.
but when I grew up, I knew a lot of second cousins and third cousins and fourth cousins and fifth cousins. You didn't.
No, I come from a city, so my life is
You're more civilized.
not more civilized, just different.
There's no birds in your family.
Well, nobody called a bird. No, that's for sure.
Okay, we should do some genealogy again.
Yeah,
later.
yeah, we should do. Yeah, we did that genealogy story segment last year, which was quite fun.
But then
I
you
mean,
have to read more about yours.
I
because
do,
I
yeah,
have a
yeah.
lot of stories.
I do, yeah. I've talked about my great granddad, who's on Wikipedia, and my grandmother was a magazine editor and actually editor in chief, and it was a knitting. Well, it was a magazine for housewives, so there was a lot of knitting there. And my dad and his brothers, they had to pose for knitting patterns, and this is in the 40s, so
Yeah.
it's really cool that.
And now since we go to Sweden so many times, I was thinking when we go to those secondhand shops, we should look for magazines from that time.
we should, yeah,
It would be cool to have some of the magazines.
Yeah, would be a lot of fun. And my dad showed me, last time we were there, my dad showed me 2 magazines from the 60s that my grandmother published, and he wrote articles for them.
Yeah.
Because this is when my dad was working for the United Nations, I think. He was he was in the United Nations. And I think one piece was from Beirut, and I can't remember the other one, but they were, I think, travel logs, or maybe.
You should get these magazines.
Yeah, well, my dad showed me where they are, so I'm gonna, next time we visit, I want to go and read them. I didn't have time because we were so busy helping them.
Yeah, but maybe there's more pictures of them as models as well. You never know.
Yeah, well, these from the 60s, my dad wrote, so these are his
that's
articles.
Newer, but older magazines.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna look at them and read them. I think it's fun that he's got some published work as well in magazines.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty cool.
That's so cool.
So yeah, but other than that, we haven't really recapped much of my family yet.
No.
I haven't researched that
I have
much.
to do some research.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah,
lot
there
of
must be a
fun
lot of stories there if you just start poking and looking. I would suppose.
stuff. I
yeah.
think it's fun.
I know one story, a very quick one. My grandmother she had children, obviously, because I'm her grandson. But she had two siblings, and they didn't have any children at all. So when my grandmother's sister passed away, my grandmother inherited everything. And when my grandmother's brother passed away, she thought she was going to inherit everything, but he left half of whatever he had to his housekeeper, who it turned out was actually somebody that he was living with in a romantic relationship.
That's scandalous.
And that was very scandalous because I don't know when he died, but I believe it was probably before 1970, I think, maybe 1960. So, and that particular generation, my grandmother was born in the beginning of the 20th century. So that particular generation, they didn't live before they got married. So I suppose it was a big scandal and apparently a big shock.
I think that's kind of cool, actually. It's so cool.
Yeah. Anyway, this is what I've heard from my father. And yeah, maybe we should look into it.
Yeah.
Could be interesting.
Could be interesting.
And yeah, maybe there's documents and papers.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah. Who knows? Other than that, Arne, I'm just thinking, we're running out of time. We're now in October. We're moving towards the end of October, and we haven't cleaned the garden yet. So we need to do a garden day, maybe tomorrow.
I think we have to do it as quick as possible because it was frost this morning. So
yeah, this morning we woke up to the first frost. We've been posting a lot of images from our collection, our Rowan collection, which we photographed in the end of last winter. Unfortunately, it's giving the impression, I mean, some people understand that this is a collection that was photographed a long time ago and that, because you have to work in advance with a collection to get the images. You can't post professional images taken the day before.
So people think it's now.
Yeah, some people actually, when we post these images, they write things like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you have that much snow right now," and it's true. We do not have that much snow right now.
No.
As a matter of fact, we have no snow, and we shouldn't get any snow until much later.
I hope we get some snow.
Well,
I
yeah,
wanna go skiing.
Snow is very desirable. A lot of people, if you live in a warm country, you won't understand this because for you connect snow immediately with the cold, but it's not actually true. It doesn't mean it's cold. Actually, the snow when it falls, it insulates and it keeps things warm as well. So, for example, for us to get snow in our garden that covers all the plants is really good.
It's good for the plants. If we didn't have the snow, a lot of the plants would have died.
Yeah, so it keeps it, it keeps the plants snug. It's also great to get the snow because of the darkness. We're moving into darkness. And by the end of October, we're going to be going back to winter time, so to standard time.
Yeah.
And that means that the days are going to get shorter. Already now, it's still dark at 7 in the morning. When I wake up now, it's totally dark. A few months ago, if I woke up at 3 at night, it would have been totally light. So the days are getting darker and darker, and there's a little bit of an issue when you drive in Norway at this time of the year. Especially because it gets so dark, and then
if it's raining, oh, that's horrible.
So if you drive in October or November in the dark with a lot of rain, it's really hard. But if you get the snow, so when you get the snow, it's white, so it brightens things up, and it actually makes things a little bit more cheery. So snow is in this part of the world a desirable thing to have.
I think it's a good thing, and also like when you have a lot of snow around the house, it's more. It's like it gives isolate. Insulate.
Yeah.
It's not you can be isolate.
Yeah. Well, if there's too much snow, you'll be isolated. Yeah.
And you will be isolated, but this is insulation.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah, but on the radio they've been warning people to put their winter tires on because winter is coming. If we get some snow in October, usually what will happen, and it's actually already happened once, usually we'll get a little bit of snow, and then it will just disappear after a few hours. Yeah. So it's not snow that will stay, and usually the snow that stays will come towards the end of November, I think.
Yeah. But
nowadays the snow is coming later and later, which is also pretty crazy.
I don't remember when it came last year because we were away.
Last year we were here.
No, we were here.
COVID.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But what I do know, but what I have noticed in the past few years is that everything's delayed. So say you got the snow in November. Nowadays you can get it in December.
We have had very little snow for Christmas once.
Yeah,
Remember?
and then we had a snowstorm in March.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little bit unstable nowadays with the weather. It's very unpredictable and difficult to plan. But no snow here. Those images were photographed a long time ago. And yeah, usually at this time of the year we wouldn't get that much snow, and definitely not those blue skies with all that snow. That's not.
No, that was in
Yeah, those were photographed in early March. Which is the typical skiing weather here in our region where we live in Norway.
We don't have snow yet, but
anyway, snow is doesn't actually mean cold. For us, it means bright. And one of the most beautiful things you can do, and I'm sure if you live in a place with snow, you'll recognize this one. But going on a walk at night on a full moon with a lot of snow is very beautiful.
that's nice.
Yeah. Here in Norway, the sky, if there's a lot of snow, the sky will become this really beautiful kind of midnight blue color.
Yeah. And even if you walk in the forests, everything is blue.
Yeah,
different
it's gorgeous.
Blue. It's very nice.
Yeah.
And this year we also have a bonfire. Is it called a bonfire in the garden? So
Oh yeah, we have a fire pit.
A fire pit. What's a bonfire?
A bonfire is when you light the fire pit.
Okay, so a fire pit.
Yeah.
So we have to light it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to having like a night when it's really cold and
light the fire pit.
Then we can light the fire pit.
So you light the fire pit, and then you have a bonfire. You see?
You see, that's what we're gonna have.
That's what we're gonna have, and we actually already had it once. It was really fun. We had it when we filmed YouTube episodes, Sunday episodes. We did that in the middle of September, and Eric, Anna, and PJ came, and we had a lovely dinner.
I'm waiting for the snow.
Yeah, but that was a nice one. We had a wonderful dinner, and then we were sitting outdoors around the fire pit with a big bonfire and having a lovely conversation.
But then we didn't have the birchwood, so it was popping like everywhere. So
now we have birchwood.
But that's why I wait for the winter, because then it's snow on the terrace, and then it's safer.
And if you remember our whole hunting for birchwood in Norway, electricity prices are through the roof. It's insanely expensive right now. So we went on a hunt for birchwood, and it took us a little bit of work. We were driving all over the place, and then we ended up meeting the firewood guy in the supermarket. And we got our birchwood delivered, and we should have enough for the winter, because our birchwood is going exclusively to the fireplace in the living room, which is an open fireplace.
All the mixed wood go in the other ovens.
Yeah, and then we've got an oven in the bedroom. We've got an oven in this room that we're sitting in. We've got an oven in
I think we have ovens in every room.
Stoves,
Stoves.
We've got in the kitchen and in both the living rooms. Yeah, we've got a lot of stoves. I think we've got 6 stoves.
Yeah, not in the bathroom.
No, but we don't... Oh, moose. That was a moose.
That was a moose. Probably.
Freya, shh. Anyway, yeah, we have stoves in all our other rooms where we use the other wood, and then for the bonfire, birchwood, so that it doesn't explode in our.
As long as there's no snow. If there's snow, you can take the chance.
Yeah, we had an issue. We had an issue last winter, which was something we haven't seen before. There was a lot of ice on the trees. So a lot of the trees were lost. They kind of broke, and we've been chopping all the fallen trees that we've had here, that fell. We have chopped them up for firewood.
And we still have one tree, a birch tree that was really high, the highest birch tree of the trees.
Freya,
planted. And
Arne.
what's happening?
She's trying to get on that chair. She's gonna turn the camera. Freya, come here. Oh, she's a troublemaker, this one. There you go.
So we have to, actually the top broke, and we have to climb up and we have to cut it.
Yeah.
So it looks nicer on the top.
But what I was going to say was, all that wood that we chopped up, we put it in our porch, and it's actually supposed to dry. It's not supposed to be usable until next year because it's still humid. But actually, I put some in the kitchen stove yesterday, and it was beautiful.
It works, but that's because that's the birch wood. I think I talked about that another time.
Oh yeah, because you cut a few birch trees as well. Yeah.
So
yeah, here in Norway, birch is definitely the most desired one because it has the best qualities for
It
sure.
burns longer. And
Yeah,
it doesn't
but this is not the birch wood that we had delivered. This is the birch wood
that
that
we chopped.
we chopped ourselves. Yeah. So now we have to go out into the garden, Arne. We have a lot of furniture to move around.
And we have to remove all the grass that we cut because we have
Yeah.
those seeds from Charlie and Camilla.
Yeah,
our
our
friends in England.
infamous flower field that takes more effort than anything else. When you want to have a wild, natural field of flowers, that's where all the hard work goes in.
I think we have to do this week before the
Yeah.
snow comes.
I think that
We have
we
to
should
get
put
the
it
seeds.
in. We should put it in our books for
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Things to do tomorrow.
Tomorrow is gardening day. We need to clear the garden from all the furniture that needs to be stored. We need to rake up all, because we've already cut the flower fields, we need to rake it up all. And we need to throw the seeds that Charlie and Camilla send us from Highgrove in the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
And then we actually don't rake anything else. So everything else that falls, we just let it be, because all those leaves become nutrients. So they're also offering a little covering to our plants. And then when the snow comes on top of that, it's perfect. And then next year, when the snow melts in spring, we'll rake it all up.
Yeah.
But we let a lot of the fallen leaves stay in the ground because of nutrition. So
So you don't have to remove it. It
no.
will be soil in the end.
Yeah, and the good thing about our garden is because we have a winter with snow. You know what they say: out of sight, out of mind. So when we don't see all those fallen leaves because we've got all that snow, it's a good thing.
It's actually good to take a break from gardening.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So we've spoken about the weather for about 7.5 out of our 15 minutes.
Typical Norwegian.
Typical Norwegian,
Yeah,
but
let's
also
talk about
very
the weather.
British. You know, they drink tea and talk about the weather in England.
Yeah. Oh, did I tell you about? I saw this YouTube thing about the English country house, and there was like two old people living in an enormous house, and
As they do.
and they only used like 2 rooms because the house was so cold. So they
Yeah.
were wearing hats, gloves, jackets, scarves, everything. So that is cold. This is not
yeah.
cold. This is because we live in wooden houses and we have a lot of snow, so it's not like
Yeah.
a stone house.
Yeah, that's the thing. Our houses are a little bit more modest in size. Although I have to say, if you live in a huge countryside manor, you're not an average Brit either.
No,
Definitely not. There's a lot of small houses as well around in the UK, but a lot of them are built in stone. And that wouldn't work here in where we live. And it's kind of like the same if you go to Switzerland and Austria up to the Alps. There will be wooden houses just like here, and it's because it's easier to heat them up and they keep the warmth. So we're a little bit luckier here. I am so glad we don't live in a house made of stone.
that would be cold.
Yeah. On the other hand, if you live in southern Spain or southern France,
then
it's good to live in a stone house because of the very hot summers. So I mean, you build as you need, I suppose, or you build for your country's circumstances, I suppose. And I'm sure that there's reasons why houses in the UK are built of stone mainly and not of wood. I'm sure there's some very intelligent reasons that I don't know, but yeah, here it's okay. And our house is really good because it's in 2 stories and we don't have a hallway. All our rooms are interconnected, so they're all, we've got a room after another like that. And that means that if we want to close down parts of our house, we can. So if the electricity bill prices continue to go up, we could close down part of our house, like downstairs. We could close off two rooms and just keep the kitchen, and then we've got a living room upstairs as well.
Yeah.
We could do that.
We did that in the old days, you remember?
But that was before we upgraded our electricity and we installed the geothermal heating.
Yeah.
But now with the geothermal heating, technically speaking, we shouldn't have such a crazy expensive bill, although it will be more expensive. And nowadays, everybody is talking about the electricity bill. And yesterday on the newspaper, I read that this morning, between 8 and 10 a.m., was the most expensive the electricity bill or the electricity prices would ever be. So they recommended people trying not to use any washers or dryers between 8 and 10. Between 8 and 10, we only had, I was in the kitchen and I had...
In the dark?
No. I was in the kitchen and I boiled some water and I thought to myself that this is a cup of tea I'm going to really enjoy because I've paid a lot of money for that in terms of electricity.
Yeah.
What did you do at that time? You were in your computer, I think.
I was
working
with something. I don't remember now. You see my memory. I have my memory is so short.
Yeah, well, we all
What did I do?
I'm sure you were working with little projects that we do.
Yeah. I made some small projects, and I was also writing more genealogy.
Oh yeah, yeah. You've spent a lot of time doing that, yeah.
Because I'm inspired again. Yeah.
And moose. Nej, Freja, det är nog. And last Sunday we did our YouTube on Sunday, the run through and the explanations of all the designs that we've done for the collection, the Rowan collection. And as always, there's a lot of interest in episodes like that. And a lot of people keep wondering how we work. And we're two, so we're Arne and Carlos, so it's a collaborative effort. And people wondering if I knit a sweater and design it like that, and then you knit a sweater. But that's not how we work at all. We work in theory mainly.
Yeah. Especially like when we work with Rowan or other brands, we never knit the garments because that takes too much time, because we couldn't do it because we produce so many things. So then we just do the design and
we design
the color pattern.
We design the garments, we sketch them, we draw all the charts, we add all the measurements. I suppose, important measurements is shoulder to shoulder, seam to seam, chest, length of sleeve, and then, some unusual volumes, we would have to write that down as well. So we do all that, and then we hand it into the technical team, who then writes the pattern and knits the sample. Yeah. And then we'll get the sample and evaluate it, whether it's, it needs to be changed, whether there's issues with the way it wants to fit, our vision. So yeah, we work in that kind of way, and it's a collaborative effect. Once a sweater is designed and sketched, it needs to go through both of us. Both of us have to look at it and say yeah or no. And if no, we have to suggest what should be changed before we actually submit it to Rowan.
And then when we do our stuff for YouTube, we knit everything.
We do, but we already know before we knit it, we already know what they look like, because we do sketch them and work a lot with the...
And now we have Shirley and Pam in America. They are actually reading the patterns, and they're also knitting a lot of what we're doing, just to check the language and stuff, because it is actually quite different in English. Yeah. And we sometimes, it's so easy to forget a lot of things that you have to have in the English pattern, which we don't do in Norway. So it can be like, be careful not to twist the stitches when joining, and it can be like where to have the yarn when you slip a stitch, because like in Norway you slip a stitch. They will never tell you if you should have the yarn in front or back, because that comes by itself the way we knit. But
usually for us the process is always the same, whether we knit it or Rowan does. So it's a research, inspiration, design, sketching, charting, tweaking, and then it's knitting and writing pattern. And whether we're knitting and writing the pattern ourselves or whether Rowan is doing it, well, depends on what it is. And to be honest, we prefer working with the first half of the stuff. We love doing the research, the creative part, the illustration. I do all the measurements because I know how to do that, and you don't like to do that. I don't like it either, but somebody's got to do it to be able to convey the design to Rowan, and then Rowan takes over. And I think that it's better. To be honest, I think that a designer should actually only focus on the creative part of the design process, and then let the professional teams of technicians do do that.
It's actually
So
two different jobs.
it's two completely different jobs. Yeah, being a designer and in this case, being a designer and being a knitter is not the same thing. Not being a designer and being a pattern writer. That's what I mean.
That's two different
It's
things.
it's two completely different things. One of them is creative. The other one is actually non-creative
Yeah.
because you're basing.
That's like when I went to fashion school. Also, when I was a teacher, there were two different things to study. You had one was the fashion design, and the other one was the pattern construction.
Pattern construction.
And then you could specialize. Like me, I specialized in menswear, so I had pattern construction and design,
yeah.
for men. But then you could have costumes, or you could have knitwear,
Yeah.
which was totally different from
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
other one. So
And then you've got pattern construction in this sense. So you, as a designer, you submit sketches to the team that will construct the patterns and create the garments. So one is theoretical, and the other one is practical. And that's what I mean with our process is a creative process. Pattern writing is not creative because the pattern writer has to look at the design and write the pattern based on the indications from the designer. Yeah.
but they need to know what they're doing
Yeah.
with tension and
Exactly. So to write a pattern, basically, to write a pattern, you need a design first. So the design has to come first, then the pattern comes. And I think our strength is more in the creative side, not in the pattern writing side. Although we have learned. You
learned
more
a
than
lot.
me, obviously.
yeah. But it's so different from what I know from woven fabrics.
Yeah,
So, but we always do something ourselves.
we do. Yeah,
So, but have you seen? I've finished the front of my
yeah. I
sweater
saw.
now.
It looks fabulous.
And you haven't started yet.
No.
Look now. I finished the front with the brioche sweater.
Yeah. But I'm taking a break. I had all that translating to do, so I don't want to.
I should take a break as well. I have done a little bit too much now.
Yeah, you have a little something in your arm now.
But I didn't. I stopped there because I think it will be sagging a little bit.
Yeah.
So I just took a chance and I stopped it there.
Yeah, you need to. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Because this will go down, I guess, when you wear it.
Yeah.
If not, I'm gonna knit a little bit longer. But I think it was so fun because I used the technique we learned when we did the knitting machine class. So now I'm gonna do the back.
Are you sure the opening is not too big?
No, because you add like the rib.
Yeah, I know there's a rib. Yeah. Oh, you're gonna have quite
gonna have a
okay, you
big
wanna have a wide rib. Yeah. Okay,
Wide rib, yeah. So I think it's fine. And then
You should have about 20 centimeters opening.
oh yeah,
No more than that.
I'll see what it comes out like. And then you normally like a lot, like sometimes they say you should measure to have the same length, but I have difficulties just measuring. So I think I will count stitches. Because I'm afraid that this has stretched or a little, so it will be
Yeah.
longer, so the other one will be shorter. So
It's beautiful though. I
I
love
have
the
a
yarn.
bad hair that you're looking
No,
at.
you have a great hair. I like your hair today. It's all wild and curly, just the way it should be.
So this is the front. And then I also finished the mittens that I
Yeah,
working on.
these are really cool. I think you should remove this so that we can actually wear them.
yeah. So this is the pattern that's on the sleeves on the jacket I'm wearing
Yeah.
in the new collection.
Yeah.
So
And for those wondering, these are not going to be a part of the Rowan collection. We're going to put these on our website. But there is a sweater coming in the next Rowan collection that will drop in November, which will have this pattern. And all the patterns on Rowan that we've done for the Nordic wool or Norwegian wool yarn, all those patterns are free, the Rowan one, the ones on Rowan's website. So all you need to do is go to arnecarlos.com, you can go to yarns, and from there you click yourself over to Rowan, and then you can you'll find they're all directly linked. Our yarn page is directly linked to the free patterns. So all those patterns are free, and yeah, they're fun, huh?
Yep.
They're getting a lot of great
It's really nice.
feedback.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And-
it's really cool.
and this week I also found this one.
Oh, that's
I
something
found-
we need to complete.
Yeah, this is one of the garter stitch scarves that we make. We have made many of these, and this one has just been lying there. I was moving stuff and I found this one, so, and it's almost finished.
Yeah.
And I think maybe I should just leave the last, or leave the bind off for the filming when Eric comes, because we had didn't we have some questions about how
we did, yes,
how we bind off.
Yes, we did.
So we can use this one when Eric comes.
Yeah.
So I won't finish it.
So we've done a tutorial on this scarf, which is a super easy scarf, and you can actually see it on our YouTube channel. And this scarf is knitted in, as you can see, garter stitch, and it's super easy because you knit one row and then you turn it and then you knit the rest, the next one. So you go back and forth like that, and you actually do the fringes as you go along. Which means you don't need to sew in any ends, and you tie them in, you see, as you go.
It's really fun.
Yeah, one of the questions a lot of people ask on that one is the length of the circular needle. They're very concerned that there may not be a long enough circular needle, but keep in mind it's a circular needle, and you can just, if you can see here, you've got all of that. So there's a really big scarf here, and because you actually cast on the length. But as you can see, there's a really big scarf casted on here, and it's kind of pleated, but it works.
If you're afraid of the length, take the longest.
Take the 80 centimeter circular
I have
needle.
no clue. Maybe this is 60.
This is a 60, yes.
Yeah. But it's okay. You're knitting back and forth. So. And we also, this is like the back and then the front. So we change colors always on the front to have like the front, and then you have the back. Like
so we're looking to doing a tutorial on the bind off.
Yeah. So we save this for then.
And I suppose that in terms of tutorials for 2022, because 2021 we already, it's all set now what we're doing. But tutorials for 2022, we might actually want to start revisiting old things. We've actually done that now. We recorded a video where we did a new tutorial on steeking, which I thought was about time. Because the first steeking videos that we did are 4 years old. Yeah. And we thought it was time to revisit the steeking because, with everything that you do in life, things evolve and you get, you learn new things, even
and maybe
experts
also,
learn new things, right?
And also maybe people are more open for it now.
Yeah, exactly.
So people maybe look for it and they can't find the old one.
Exactly. So we're doing a tutorial on steeking in November, which we think people will actually appreciate getting, which I think is also good. And we're also going to be revisiting old stuff in 2022. So if you have any suggestions for us, what would you like to learn in terms of tutorials, please let us know in the comments field down below. If there's tutorials that we've done that you would like to get a little bit more information on, let us know as well so that we can start planning what we're going to revisit. And yeah, for example, last year we revisited the Norwegian Pearl after doing a tutorial.
And you did it.
I did it, yeah. And that one has proven very popular, which actually the original one was also very popular. And I suppose the good thing about that is that suddenly you have 2 tutorials that you can watch back to back. And you can see all the new things that we've learned and we've developed after we did the original one.
Maybe do it different also.
Yeah, and also we become more accustomed to doing things on YouTube now. So maybe we can show it easier now than what we did when we started a few years ago. So do let us know in the comments what kind of tutorials you would like to see. And then we've noticed in the comments fields that a couple of people were commenting that we are not doing tutorials anymore. But that is not true. On Sundays, we usually do tutorials, and then on Wednesdays is the podcast. So
maybe
those
that's
tutorials.
What people want, maybe people want more tutorials than sit and knit.
Well, I think right now people still want both. But yeah, that's another thing. We're not sure of how to continue with Sit and Knit for a bit because Sit and Knit for a bit originally was the quarantine podcast, and then the quarantine podcast became Sit and Knit for a bit last year in the fall. And we've been doing it now for a year, and throughout this year there has been a need for Sit and Knit for a bit because people have been in lockdown and people have been isolated at home. But we're noticing that more and more people are becoming more free because the world is slowly opening up. And we noticed that views go down in the sense that we're not getting those crazy numbers of views on our Sit In It for a Bit podcasts as we were last year. And this is telling us that it's because people are wanting to move on with their lives and do other things than
I
just
think we
sit.
all want to
I
get
do,
out again.
And then we're gonna at one point we're gonna hit a wall. We're gonna come across a big problem, and the big problem is that as long as we're home, as long as we're not touring or traveling, we can do Sit In It for a bit. But what happens the day we finally decide to resume traveling? The U.S. is going to be opening up for Europeans on November 8th. We are not going to go to the U.S. For work this year.
No.
But we may want to go to the USA next year in the fall and do a tour. Usually our tours last 6 weeks. So if we go on tour to the US for 6 weeks, we can't do Sit In It for a
Sit In
bit.
It will be
Live. It will be Sit In It for a bit live,
for a
right?
bit.
And it's the same. I mean, if we do a cruise, if we do a knitting cruise in Norway, we won't be able to do Sit In It on that week that we're on the cruise.
We
So
can do a report from the cruise.
yeah, but that would be after.
That will be after.
So you see, we're gonna hit a wall at one point, and we're gonna have to reconsider what we do with Sit In It for a bit. Should it be a monthly podcast maybe instead of a weekly one? Should we just drop it and just do the Sunday tutorials? Should we do a secondary tutorial on Wednesdays? We don't know. And
because the world is changing again.
And this is what we're gonna be working on figuring out. But don't worry, nothing is gonna change in 2021.
No, it's not changing before New Year.
No, so
But after New Year, maybe things change.
yeah, and we're gonna have to put our thinking caps on
Yeah.
and do a lot of thinking. And again, we'd love to hear from you about this and what you think, as your opinion really does matter to us. But you have to put it in a realistic context, because when we travel, we won't be able to do Sit In It for a bit. And unlike our tutorials, so a tutorial we can record in advance. We can record it a year in advance. We can do it the way we work now. We can meet Anna, PJ, and Eric and just do a tutorial, 15 tutorials in a weekend,
But
and
not
then
Sit In It.
yeah. But we can't do that with Sit In It for a bit. We can't sit and talk. How much is 15 minutes times 15? We can't sit and talk for that long. The Sit In It tutorials are also supposed to be more current, so we actually do need to record them every week in order for them to be current. We can't.
Well, they will never be totally current because with my memory.
Well, okay. But if we leave your memory out of the equation, we can't sit and record 10 Sit In It for a bits after each other, because they're longer, obviously, and because we want to,
And nothing happened.
Yeah, we need
between.
to get some time to go from one tutorial to the next in order to have something to talk about. So you have to be realistic about these things. The moment we start traveling is the moment we have to reconsider Sit In It for a bit and what we want to do with it.
Yeah. In 2019, we traveled for 78 days in America and Canada.
Yeah. So
we had 3 days off, I think.
Yeah. So a lot of things to reconsider, and I, off the top of my mind, I mean, what I think would be the most feasible way to do it in 2022 would be to do Sit In It for a bit as a once a month podcast. So one Wednesday every month we do that, and then we do tutorials on Sundays, and then on Wednesdays, the other Wednesdays that are not Sit In It for a bit, we could do something else. It could be another kind of style of tutorial or more lifestyle things. We could do gardening and cooking and those kind of things on Wednesdays, and then do the Sit In It, and then do the plain tutorials on Sundays. So those are the things that we have to think about, how we want to continue and figure it out.
I'm listening to a lot of podcasts on the radio when I work on the computer now.
Yeah.
Because I don't see anything, you just listen.
Yeah,
so there's I heard 2 very interesting podcasts lately.
But I do think a lot of people do sit and knit and listen to this instead of watching it, because they're doing their knitting or their embroidery and they're listening to us. So it kind of works as a radio podcast as well.
As long as you don't show stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. But then when we show stuff, people can just, lift their eye and have a look and then continue
That's true.
their knitting. And,
And now it's time to lift your eye again because I found this one also,
Oh, yeah.
which I started a long time ago.
Yeah, so this is one of the UFOs.
And it's just leftover yarn. We have one ball of each. And I made how many rounds? Like 10 rounds.
It's nice.
This part is new. So not much happens.
No.
But I don't know how it will look. There will be a lot of colors, and I just want to use this yarn and get rid of it.
I love the way you explain it, because you're actually explaining our job description to people. Our job is to solve problems. So as a designer, you have a problem and you need a solution, and it needs to be a design, right? So in your case, you have one ball of each color. So how do you make each ball count? And that's how you design that sweater.
I tried to spread it up.
Yeah, so that sweater gets its particular design based on the fact that there's only one ball of yarn for each.
It will be very colorful. Maybe it's something to use in the garden.
Oh, I'd use that in the city. I love the colors.
I don't know if the sleeves will be the same.
But that's the thing. When you're designing that way, you're working.
But when you do these things, you have time to think about new stuff. Because
you do, yeah.
This pattern is from an old jacket we have, so I'm knitting from the jacket. I just cast on more stitches because I want it a little bit wider.
And Arne, it's gonna be cool. I can't wait to see the continuation. And do you have an update about the lady that we don't know? Do we know her name, by the way?
No, I don't know who she is.
So there's a lady that sells her unfinished objects or gives them to a charity shop.
Yeah, or someone sells them. We don't know.
And then Arne buys them and completes them. And the whole point is actually not to complete them the way they're supposed to be, but to add an element of our own.
Actually, I finished one the way it was supposed to be. One of them.
Only one?
Only one, because I think that was kind of nice. So I didn't want to...
Because the original one was supposed to be a floral embroidery, and you added the
that's the first one. That was the embroidery pillow for the car. That's in the beetle. And then I did the other one, which is like traditional with...
But you finished that one?
I finished it the traditional way. And now I'm working on the cats. I showed it before.
Yeah, but you didn't show the process because...
And now it's coming. I really had a struggle finding out what kind of pattern I wanted. So I went for this.
Very cool.
It's a very graphic pattern, and I just use yarn from a bag I had. Yeah. Like I use what's in the bag.
And this is not at all what it was supposed to be. So I suppose that this here is what it was supposed to be, right?
This should the flower, the grass and the flowers. This should be white in the background, and all this should be white. And I will make these leaves. This I will make, and then I will have this pattern around. Yeah. And this was actually supposed to be on the wall.
But it could be a really cool cushion.
Yeah, I'm making it into a cushion. You see, it's to. What you call it? It's not squared.
Yeah, but you're making it square.
Yeah. So I just added canvas in the same size, and I just put that like on top.
So I have a question for you.
And then I embroider through both of the canvas.
So I have a question for you, design-wise. So the rhombs that you have here, right? You're gonna do them all around.
All around.
So my question is, are you gonna keep the leaves?
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm gonna make those leaves.
Oh, you said that. I didn't hear you.
I just said it.
Sorry, okay. Because I agree. You should definitely keep the leaves, and
I don't know if I find the same green color as the other green.
But that doesn't matter.
No problem.
That doesn't matter. How about these? Are you gonna color those in as well?
That's just to show the colors.
I know, but
no, I'm not going to do that. So this is the third project from the dead lady or something.
I like it.
I don't know.
I really like
the unfinished objects, and I'm still looking for more unfinished objects because I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah,
but there will be a point where we can't have more pillows in the Beetle.
That's true.
Or in the sofa. So
well, if you get the Volkswagen bus, we could do a whole.
But I think it's interesting just to you can finish them, and then remember we went to in Taos? We went to this museum. What's her name?
Judy Chicago?
Judy Chicago. There was a Judy Chicago exhibition, and
She's
there was
amazing.
some embroidery pieces in on display. And she used masking tape, or what you call the tape that you use for painting.
Yeah.
It was on the edges. I started to do that now because I thought that was so beautiful.
It was
and it
beautiful,
was a
yeah.
clever way
To stop the
sharing, or what you call it.
yeah.
So I'm going to put on masking tape on this. So if I don't make all those pillows, I can just keep them like flat with masking tape.
I love the idea. I want to get a project and complete it too. And I love the idea of taking a project and then completing it with something that was not intentional.
I can buy one for you.
Yeah, do that.
I haven't been in that bag in a long time, but I don't remember how many projects there are. But there are I think there are actually there's one pillow with a floral pattern, very very thin floral pattern, and it's on beige.
What are you going to do here then?
The same thing will pop up, the graphic thing.
This one, yeah. That's what I mean. You do it, but not on the cat's face, I suppose.
No, that will be white, and then I do outline the cat with black, so it pops more.
Yeah.
And that was not supposed to be like. I think it's cool. It's so
Sounds
fun.
really lovely.
But I don't know. Maybe it's finished in 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
Then I can put out a new project.
I look forward to that. So yeah, very cool.
Yeah, it's relaxing. And also when you do this, you just pick yarn from what you have. Sometimes there are color combinations popping up that you can use for other things. So you get inspiration from this.
Yeah.
So this is fun project.
And then we're going to go to Christmas a little bit. Christmas is early here at Arne and Carlos, but that's only because we want to give people time to complete the projects. We've been getting a lot of questions on the calendar, the Advent calendar that we launched in the beginning of the month. Do you have a sweater with you?
I have.
So if we'll bring up a little mini jumper.
Don't look inside.
No, it's a surprise. The calendar consists of 24 mini jumpers. Each one has a number, as you can see here. And actually they're all unique. So every jumper has a different design, and they're a lot of fun to knit. Now there's a couple of things people are wondering, and I thought we could do a little bit of a Q&A and just answer two questions. The first question that a lot of people are asking is about the yarn. We've used the Norwegian wool, the same wool that we've done for the Rowan designs and this. And a lot of people are asking about the yarn. What is it? And this is a DK yarn. So it's DK. Now, if you want to learn something about how to classify a yarn, it's always good to know that a DK yarn will always have around 22 stitches per 10 centimeters or 4 inches. That is the classification of what a DK yarn is. DK stands for double knitting, and usually the needle that we use for DK here in Norway is 3.5 millimeters or 4 millimeters.
3.5 and 4.
Yeah.
You know, I never heard about DK and these things before we started.
No, because this is an English way of classifying.
Yeah, because in Norway we talk about the needle.
Yeah.
You pick the needle who will go with the yarn, kind of.
And then a lot of people don't understand the use of the Advent calendar. Now, there are different cultures in different parts of the world, and here in Norway and in many Northern European countries like Germany and Holland, these Advent calendars, you get them usually on paper, and then you open a hatch, and then there's a little something inside. Usually it's a little picture of something, but some of them can get things like chocolate, and then you open it.
Well, when I grew up, there was like these small plastic figures that you collected and stuff.
So our knitted Advent calendar, as you can see, the close cast on makes it as a gift bag. And what you do is you stuff gifts or treats inside the hole. I'm not going to show what there is, but you stuff them.
I wrapped it in silk paper.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna look. You stuff it through the hole, and then for example, you could hang these with clothes pegs on a line, and then every day, whoever you made the Advent calendar for, every day that person will get a delightful little surprise, and it will make waiting for Christmas easier. Now, this is mainly children or Arne.
Or you.
Or me.
Yeah.
So what you put in this is really up to you. We're not going to give any suggestions, except we could say that, you shouldn't put diamonds or very expensive gifts in these.
Oh, you could if you,
You
can
could if
afford
you
it.
can afford it, but it's supposed to be little treats and things to make waiting for Christmas extra fun. For example, you could put mini sweets like a little chocolate or a little cookie on each one of them, and then whoever opens it is delighted by that. Or you could put like small things, cute little things that show that you care about someone.
Yeah. And if it's for your kids, it can be small
Simple.
toys or sweets
Or pencil sharpeners, erasers, things, school
I'm looking
supplies.
for things that we need.
Yeah, but small things.
I think some of these gifts will be for you, some for me.
Well, I'm doing 12 and you're doing 12.
Yeah, but I think some of the gifts are sometimes they are for both of us.
Yeah.
You can also put them like on display, like on a tray or something, if you don't want to hang them up. So you have them like standing. So, but the gifts can't be bigger than you can put them down the neck.
So it's very important. Think small. Think a little treat or some nuts or something small that doesn't cost a lot of money. It's not about what's in the gift. It's about the element of delight every day.
A little pre-present.
Yeah, every day of delight when you get a little something in these. And if you want to see our suggestions of what we put in, just wait until December 1st and we will be revealing
And maybe we'll open
all the treats.
You will open the first bag. Or sweater. I decided that.
You decided that.
Because I have already packed it. So you have to do number 2.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
And me 3.
Okay, we'll do that.
Oh, so this is for you actually. This you have to do this one.
Oh,
I take this out.
okay. So
Because this has to have a package for me.
okay, we'll figure it out as we go along, or not as we go along. We are making big plans for the Advent calendar, and as we said, join us in December every day from December 1st to 24th to see the revelation inside each of the sweaters. But actually, the calendar is going to be much more than that, so you have to come anyway and stay tuned. There will be some learning.
And you have to put things we need or things we can tell the story about.
Yeah. And there will be some learning as well. We'll be doing
Some
a little
learning.
bit of a mini something as well. So stay tuned. I think that you are in for a treat. And there's going to be a treat inside that one too.
I think they're cute having gifts in this.
And finally, Arne, next Sunday, we've got a new tutorial coming. And it's become a tradition now. Christmas stockings are not actually part of our tradition here in Norway originally, but it's becoming more and more a tradition. And we've launched a Christmas stocking every year.
Yeah.
And because the tutorial is coming on Sunday, we're going to be revealing the Christmas stocking now.
Yes.
And you could reveal one, and I can reveal the other one.
So you can reveal the one that one.
Yeah. So before we start the revelation, the name of the stocking this year is Hjem til jul. And if you're a Scandinavian, you already know what that means. And here is the stocking. And Hjem til jul means home for Christmas.
So this is the Christmas house.
So this is the Christmas house, and this is where we want to go and spend Christmas.
And this is knitted in the woven
pure wool superwash worsted. It's knitted in a worsted weight.
Like the other ones we had last year, I think it was. So, and then we also made one in our yarn.
But you made that with really small needles. You should have made
This is a needle 3.5.
Yeah, if you make it with needle 4, it will be.
If you do it on the needle 4, it
will be
as
this
big
size.
as this. So I think it's nice in these colors also because this green is a little bit more Christmassy. But I like it when it's a little bit smaller actually. So I think I will make all of the Christmas stocks over again.
Yeah.
Stockings. I will make them over again in our yarn.
So Christmas stocking 2021, Hjem til jul. If you are a newsletter subscriber, you will be receiving an email very soon with the secret link. And when you go on that link, you will be able to get a 25% discount. We only do that for our esteemed and faithful and loyal newsletter subscribers, but it's also available on our web shop at full price. So if you want a Hjem til jul Christmas stocking, you've got plenty of time to do it.
I think I will make one more, but with this needle 4, I think it is, and
Yeah.
this yarn, and make some experiments.
And
See
there'll,
what happens.
and there'll be a little tutorial about the Christmas stocking as well on Sunday, so stay tuned for that. I think it's going to be a useful tutorial. So pretty much
It is actually.
pretty much that is what we had to talk about this week. Anything else in your heart that you want to share?
What more can I share?
'Cause in
I'm
Norway-
only thinking about the
Yeah.
genealogy right now.
In English, you say anything more in your mind.
Yeah.
Do you have anything on your mind?
On your mind.
In Norwegian, that would literally be translated. Do you have anything else in your heart that you want to share? So,
Oh, there's one thing we have forgotten. We
Oh.
had to go down to the gas station with the Beetle.
oh yeah, to
Because
wash it.
we have to wash it. We have to fill the tires because it has a little bit more
Okay,
air
yeah.
than normal, because during the winter it stays in the garage, and then the
Yeah.
tires can get flat.
You're right
So-
about that.
You should always fill the tires a little bit over what you actually need. But then we also have this pump, like you use your feet on it. So if we see that the air is going out, we can actually pump it up,
Okay, yeah.
and we will fill the tank.
Yeah, so
Fill it up.
let tomorrow.
So that's something we have to do before the snow comes.
Yeah, so let tomorrow be the gardening day, the day we clear the garden, and the day we do the beetle upkeep, so that it gets a nice resting place for the winter.
And then it will be like in the garage under a presenning. What's that?
Yeah, under
A cover.
cloth, a cover, yeah.
Put a cover on it so it stays nice.
So that's all we had today. Sitting It for a Bit is done. We've been doing our regular 15-minute podcast, which we hope you enjoyed. As we mentioned, there may be changes coming in 2022. So we'd really love hearing from you. Tell us what you think Sitting It for a Bit should be, or tell us what we should do with Wednesdays in the future. We look forward to hearing from you. We won't be discussing this heavily for the next weeks. It's just a little
mind.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's on our mind, and we're thinking, and we're gonna figure it out hopefully at some point. So we need a little bit of help with that. So other than that, we do look forward to continue our Sit In It for a Bit podcast for all of 2022. Although in December, 2021. Although in December, yeah, the calendar is going to replace the podcast.
So that will be every day.
Yeah, so we'll have a kind of a Sit In It for a Bit.
Then people maybe want to have a break in January.
Yeah, they'll be so tired of us. They'll definitely need a break. Okay, Arne, do you have some formalities for us?
If you like our videos, you can put your thumbs up and down if you don't like them, and
Comment and engage.
comments and engagements. Everything is good. And if you're a subscriber, put on your notifications, because then you won't miss an episode.
Yeah. And get on the mailing list, which is the best way to get all our updates.
Yeah.
It's going to be more important to be on the mailing list in 2022
because then things are happening.
as we start traveling again. We will be releasing information on knitting cruises through the mailing list. We will be releasing information on our tour schedule, which we only do through our mailing list. So you need to get on that if you want to. Get all that information. And of course, discounts on designs are only given to our newsletter subscribers. So get on that list. And all you need to do that is go to arnecarlos.com, and there's a pop-up window, and you can just pop in your email address and send it. And also yarns, you can get yarns at arnecarlos.com/yarns. And there's patterns in our web shop and Arne Carlos. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you again next Wednesday, same time, same place.
Bye.
Bye.